Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. This episode was mostly good, except for one part. That one part is Ciara and Ben. Oh my goodness. Here's the thing. I've been wanting Ciara to come back on this show for a while. Mostly because I just got tired of the whole limbo thing. And so when we saw her come back, fighting to get back to Ben or whatever, I was like, okay, finally we're gonna have her come back, and everything's gonna be good. And it's gonna go back to the status quo that I knew nothing about, but I'm gonna assume it was good. Ciara has been, for me, and I look at it in two parts. Okay, part of me sitting there looking at this like she lost a memory. The only memories she have of Ben and Ciara, and Claire, are negative ones. She only remembers Ben as necktie killer. She only remembers the last 3 years or whatever. She doesn't know that they had a life together, that they fell in love, they wanted a future together, and everything like that. So part of me, I get that. The other part of me is sort of like today's episode where I was just like, oh my god, these scenes need to end. Um, Ciara was just, and I think it was like one line that just really just kind of just summed up my whole feelings when she was like, "Well, I don't care what the news articles or the photos or what anyone's they're telling me. Ben Weston is this, that, and the third, and I can't believe I loved him, and yada 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 yada." It was like it's fake news. You know what I'm saying? And it was just like, oh my goodness, this chick is. Mm. It's like, man, remember when I actually wanted her back? Well, clearly I didn't get what I wanted. Yeah, that's how she was for the majority of this episode. It's just so annoying. Then she started off with Claire, and then she was even like, "Oh, well, see, what I remembered about you is that you always defend Claire." And I'm like, ugh, okay. I mean, she apologized after that, but it was like, listen, I normally in the beginning when I started watching this show, I was not a fan of Claire. And I think that had a lot to do with the actress that was playing her and the material that they gave her. But I like this Claire. And, just even Ciara digging in that Claire, it's like, all right, girl, you are like mad about some drama that happened like years ago. And I get it. I get it. You lost your memory. But, I mean, at some point, somebody must have told you, like, it's 2021. And, like, whatever happened back then, it happened back then. Like, just hearing it over and over again just start to irritate the living hell out of me. Um, and personally, I think that Theo was getting a little bit too close. Getting a little bit too close. Listen, I get it. They're besties. They known each other growing up, all that good stuff. But him just kind of hanging out and laying down right next to her and just kind of like watching cartoons and eating and laughing and everything like that. I was like, bro, you do realize that she is actually married, right? Like, there's a guy that's not that far away that is in love with this woman. Might want to just tone it down just a little bit. You're a little too friendly, bro. Just a little bit. On the other side, we got Ben that's, well, sitting up there moaning and complaining. And yes, I get it. He loves his wife. He is horrified at the fact that every time she looks at him, she is terrified and is disgust. And I get that. I really, really do. So I understand the heartbreak. It's just after about 5 to 7 minutes of him sitting there moping and complaining, I just kind of got over it. Now, he is really desperate to get it back. He's like, let's try the drug. Can we try something? And he thinks of trying to hypnotize Ciara to get back her memories. Marlena is a little hesitant at first, but Ben more or less kind of twists her arm. And Marlene's like, listen, I ask her and see if she wants to be hypnotized. If she does, then that's cool. I'll leave it up in her hands. And when Theo leaves to go get her ice cream because why not? Um, Once again, you know, Sierra's like, how could I ever love a man like Ben Weston and yada yada yada. And Marlene's like, I may have a way to get back your memories. So I guess we'll see. More or less that's pretty much how that ends, and that was probably me personally, it just kind of wore my patience after a while. But so let's talk about Kristen. Well, let's talk about Susan and Brady. So, what is this, like the second time? Was this the second time or the first time? Either way, I can't understand how this guy does not know that there's something off about Kristen, the way she's acting. Um, I mean, he's literally standing behind her, watching her talk to herself. Bro, when have Kristen ever actually broke down like that? Um, anyway, he's not there talking to her, and she's just acting strange, and every time you can see the looks on Brady's face, like, what's going on? Now Kristen calls up Vivian to make sure that Susan does not screw up her plan. And of course, Vivian reminds Kristen, listen, have you done anything to break up Jake and Kate? Because this whole deal, this whole secrecy only works if you hold up the end of your bargain, the end of the bargain. And if you don't, well, lose lips and all that good stuff. So Vivian does her part. She goes in there. She saves Susan from totally screwing this whole thing up by somewhat vicariously convincing Brady to, give Kristen some space, because right now I don't remember what the reason was, but, basically Susan was like, well, it's just really hard seeing you all the time, or something along those lines, and I just kind of just need some time to regroup and kind of, you know, get my strength back up and be mentally ready and all that good stuff. I'm not really too sure why, but basically she was like, you just kind of got to give me some time. And at first, Brady was like, is this really what you want? And of course, Vivian constantly keeps speaking for Kristen. And so Brady's like, don't y'all two hate each other? So when did y'all become friends? And of course, Vivian gets some offhand answer like, well, listen, I hate her, but I hate a lot of other people more. I'm like, Brady, I don't understand how you known this woman for a very long time. She's not acting like Kristen, okay? She's hanging out with Vivian, a person who, last time we all checked, couldn't stand. And and now they're friends, and she's speaking up for Kristen. Kristen, who's known for not really having any restraint and have no problem speaking her mind, is suddenly now tongue tied. Rick, I don't even know if I want to sit there and call this a moron moment for Brady, but or just the plot. Okay, he has to be a moron for the plot. I don't know which one, but anyway, Susan convinces Brady to kind of give her some space, and she also put a license plate for the king, like Elvis or whatever. And I'm just like, Brady, how are you nuts? Okay, sure, whatever. So back on the other side of town, you got Kristen that is being hella rude to Chloe. Practically tells her to go in the other room. Well, go and help out John since she didn't bring anything or contribute anything. And this is when she gets on the phone with Vivian. Now, she's in her conversation and she's talking to herself because I have no idea why. And Chloe comes in. Chloe's like, what's going on? Because to be honest, you didn't sound like yourself. You sounded different. Like what's up with that? And of course, Kristen's like, oh well, me and whatever guy, we like to role play and stuff like that. And then somehow she drops the whole thing. And I'm just like, so you just walked in there, you heard her not sounding like herself, and you're just not gonna really press on that? You're just gonna just let that go? And again, this is what I'm sitting there thinking, like, okay, so we're just gonna be stupid for the plot. Okay, cool. So of course, Kristen's like, so yeah, so how did that whole thing go out with Brady? Like, did you confess to your feelings or stuff like that? And once again, Chloe opens up to the fact that she has feelings for Brady. And then of course she starts dogging Kristen, like, oh well, Kristen's this and she's that and she's a mess, and who knows how long she's gonna be, and in prison for, and she's just really digging into Kristen. Now of course Kristen has a knife, and she is fighting the urge to not stab the living hell out of her. Because Chloe's like, she has no self control, no impulse or anything like that. She just kind of just reacts. And I'm like, you might want to kind of just stop talking, otherwise you may wind up being dead. But of course she doesn't do it. And Chloe goes back in the kitchen. Kristen talks to herself. And then Brady comes in, and Brady's like looking at, I guess, Susan, like, the hell is going on? Now, this is like the fourth or seventh time that between the fact that he's been looking at, Susan in jail all side eyed, and now he's looking at, looking at Kristen all side eyes, and he's looking at Susan. He's like, what is going on? And I'm just like, so how long is this whole plot gonna go? Because I feel like Kristen, her whole plan is just so out of hand at this point. The fact that she has to sit there and rely on Susan to play her part, she has to rely on Vivian to shut her mouth. She has to sit there and rely on herself not to do anything stupid. And she has to sit there and make sure that Sarah is kept on the wraps. So I'm just like, you're doing all this to make sure that Brady keeps it in his pants. Is this whole thing worth it? I don't understand it, but whatever. Now, the last thing I want to sit there and talk about is the whole Kate, Jake, Gabby, and Philip. So, Kate walks into the room, and she sees, well, what she says, Gabby straddling Philip. And at first she's all like upset. She's like, what are you doing? Did you hit him? Like, what's going on? Like, she's just really irritated at the fact that Gabby is so close to Philip. And after Philip explains what happens, they talk back and forth a little bit. Gabby's like, why don't we just all have dinner? At first Kate is like, nah, I don't break bread with the enemy. But Gabby, pushes, and she goes her and is in the agreeing. So they split up for a little bit, and you have Philip Snitcher talking to Kate. Now Kate is like, listen, you don't want to do this with Gabby, because Gabby's going to use you to get to Jake, and you're going to want to be in her. And I'm like, Kate has an excellent point, and you should probably listen to her. He doesn't, and I'm going to be honest, when it does happen, I'm actually going to wind up feeling bad for Philip. I don't understand how this show somehow makes me feel bad for this guy, when in the beginning I used to watch this show, and I used to always sit there and call him man-child because of X, Y, and Z. I still stand by those reasons, but I feel like when Gabby breaks Philip's heart, I'm gonna feel bad for him. Now, of course, in the other room, Jake is like, so I heard you was moving on, but Philip? And of course, Gabby's like, so you jealous or whatever? And, Jake laughs it off. I was like, bro, we both know that even though you're trying to laugh it off, there's a part of you that's actually jealous. Alright, let's not sit there and try to act like you're not. Hold on a second. So they exchange more words, and it's just pretty much just kind of just, you know, Jake and Gabby sniping at each other while, I don't know, I guess flirting with each other in some way that I just clearly cannot comprehend. And then they all get together, they give a toast for friendly competition, and the last person that's going to be standing, or the last person on top. Which I feel bad for the person on bottom, or the person who's going to lose, because it's most. Actually, to tell you the truth, it's going to be both of them. Okay, it's going to be Philip, and it's going to be Kate. Um, and I think that's about it. And well, and you know the thing I like about Kate and Philip is that these are characters that one minute I can be like, you're a man child, or you know, Kate's like, oh, you're acting like a Karen when it came towards Trip. But Kate has her moments. Kate is a very interesting character. Kate has her moments where she can actually be really well and really great and kind of annoying at the same time. It's like you just never know which way it's gonna go. And the same thing for Philip for the most part. You just don't know where it's gonna go. But to be honest, Philip actually has not been that annoying. He's been more of a man child, but not really annoying. And I think that's about it. I don't think I really missed too much of anything, but if I did, write it down in the comment section below. Let me know what your thoughts are, and thank you for watching. You know, I need to actually work on an outro. I have an intro. Got very comfortable with it. Still working on an outro, but I'll come up with that at some point. Thank you for watching. Be safe. I will catch you in the next video.